Antje Praefcke joins me today for this week's last edition of Targets in Focus. She's a senior FX strategist and director at Commerzbank in Frankfurt. Hi Antje. Now the Swiss franc floor and action by the Swiss National Bank is always something for the markets to keep a close eye on. Do you see a possible move by the SNB to defend the floor on the horizon? And as a result, how do you foresee the pair dollar-Swiss franc performing over the next 12 months?
Surely we cannot entirely exclude that one day the SNB may increase the lower barrier from 120 to another higher level, let's say 123 or 125. However, at the moment it's working pretty fine. We don't really see the reasons why it should do it now. So for the moment we think the lower end in Euro Swiss will be the 120 area. Now talking about dollar Swiss, it's clear that with Euro Swiss basically pegged, if you want to use this term, dollar Swiss is basically retracing the moves we are seeing in euro dollar. So it's a purely entirely euro dollar move actually that you will see in dollar Swiss. So it's rather a question, how will the US dollar perform over the next couple of weeks? We think here when we are talking about dollar Swiss that we're going to see a slight upwards potential in the US dollar, because we think that towards the year end this discussion around Q3 will really be off the table, and that the US dollar will then see some upside potential against the Swiss franc. So at the end of the year we expect dollar Swiss to trade around 0.95, around that area.
What about dollar CAD? The Bank of Canada's upward revisions to its growth outlook and the more hawkish statement raised market expectations for a possible rate hike looming. Is this in line with expectations at Commerzbank? And what are your short, mid and long-term forecasts for this pair?
Well, definitely in dollar CAD we see some possible movement for the moment, as long as we do not see any changes in risk aversion and any strong movements in the commodity markets. We think that dollar CAD will trade in respect to market sentiment and risk aversion, which means that we're going to see dollar CAD trading around parity with a slight upward tendency in the Canadian dollar. Now talking about the more longer term, we have always been of the view that the Bank of Canada made towards the end of the year hike rates. So for us it's not a big surprise if that will come, and that's why we are seeing possible upside potential in the Canadian dollar over the next month. So for the moment, according to market sentiment, we expect dollar CAD to trade around parity with a slight upward slope in the Canadian dollar.
What are your views on the Bank of Japan and its latest easing? Also, what are your projections for the euro-yen throughout the remainder of the year and into 2013?
The fact that the Bank of Japan is still quite expansionary is surely a fact that leads us to think that we're going to see troubles in the yen to appreciate again, as it has done in times of high risk aversion. So we think that at least for the moment in the first half of this year, as long as the ECB as well remains expansionary, we're going to see euro-yen rising towards the 110 level in June. However, then over the longer term, we have the view that since the Bank of Japan is so expansionary and will not think about an exit of its expansionary policy because the economy is not growing that fast, and because we still have negative inflation rates in Japan, and we think that's going to be the case for the next couple of months. We are of the view that the Bank of Japan will remain very expansionary, and that at the time when the ECB is thinking and openly voicing the possibility that it thinks about an exit of its unconventional measures, that then the euro may even gain a little bit more ground against the yen. So overall, we think that we see euro-yen above 110 over the next couple of months.
And finally, Antje, what about the Greek and French elections coming up over the weekend? Do you think markets have already priced in the results?
At least I think for the French election, the market has accepted the result that probably Hollande will win the elections. So I don't see much potential of movement from that point of view. The Greek election is a little bit different because it may at least generate a little bit more volatility, because it's not certain what now the Greek parliament will decide on all these austerity measures, etc., etc. However, just one thing has to be kept in mind. political markets are very difficult to assess and are very difficult to trade. So from my point of view, it would be better to stay on the sidelines ahead of these important events.
Thank you, Antje. A pleasure as always to speak to you. Now, as just discussed, the Greek parliamentary elections and the runoff for the French presidential elections are taking place over the weekend. So tune back in to DukascopyTV on Monday for all the latest. Goodbye for now.